Welcome back to the channel. It is Blockbuster Month, and last week we talked about Jaws, arguably the first blockbuster ever, and so we're going to talk about modern blockbusters today by ranking the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a video I'm sure no one will disagree with my opinion on. That's what I'm going to expect. I'm going to expect everyone to just say, that's right, this was the correct order. But if you actually want to say,
this one goes there, that one goes there.
That's fine. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear why I'm wrong. But more importantly, what you think about them, because maybe I've just been looking at something the wrong way. In talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just going to talk about movies that have been theatrically released. So sorry, WandaVision, sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you can't make the list, though you both would be ranked pretty high. You'll also notice that I don't have any F tiers. My tastes are those of the average 12-year-old boy. And so, I don't really think that there's an F tier Marvel movie. There's some that I think are maybe not good, but I would still say, I wouldn't need to skip them necessarily if we're watching all the way through. Hey, no more stalling. Let's get to it. So let's kick it off the way Kevin Feige did with Iron Man. Starring Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane. You got Pepper Potts. You get Terrence Howard for the only time. Never got the chance to be War Machine. He was the highest paid actor in this movie, which is why he didn't come back. He was all like, hey, you're giving Robert Downey Jr. a raise. You need to give me a raise too. And they're like, we're not going to pay you more than Robert Downey Jr. The second time around. And he's like, well, that's messed up. People want to see me, and really people didn't care about seeing Terrence Howard. And so it's a great start to it. Villain is fine. Actually, no, good. I like Jeff Bridges. I think this is an A tier easily. I know there's a lot of people that say that it's maybe still the best one. I just like where the movies get, like when they get crazier. The crazier the movies get, the more fun I have with them. But Iron Man is a great starting point. And good thing it was, because the next movie that came out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was not the best. The Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton, his only go again as the Hulk, just like Terrence Howard, wanted too much control, too much money. He wanted like final cut on the Avengers even, and they were like, we're definitely not giving that to you. With all that being said, though, I do like this movie, like as a movie. Do I? I don't know if I do. I feel like there's fun stuff that happens in this movie, but it's like moments more so than like real character stuff. The movie does give us Thunderbolt Ross as William Hurt, though, and that's good. He carries over and is featured pretty heavily as a supporting character in Marvel movies to come, showing up in like Civil War, and he's got a heck of a mustache. But all that being said, the movie itself doesn't really do a lot, and The Incredible Hulk was cast better when they redid it with Mark Ruffalo. Do I want to put it in D tier though? Yes, I do. I do want to put it in D tier. It's only a movie really I watch or would want to watch if we were feeling like, hey, we got to do it. Let's watch them all. Let's go through and watch them. Outside of that, maybe I would watch some clips on YouTube, but even that would probably be stretching it. We get to Iron Man 2. This is one where I like it more than a lot of people do. I know that it's just set up. I know that the plotting and stuff isn't great. I know that the pacing is troubled, to say the least. But I do like getting to see War Machine. The action in it is pretty fun, especially the bit in like the bonsai garden at the end. Whiplash had potential to be a cool villain. I think he's got some cool moments, especially at like the racetrack and everything. The score in this is not super memorable, but I do like the cue from when he pulls out the briefcase, a moment that was pretty much spoiled in the trailer. Like, again, you want to get people in the seats, but maybe don't show like the coolest effect shot you got in your whole movie in the trailer. That being said, it's definitely above The Incredible Hulk. Do I want to put it into a C tier though? Here's the thing: if it's going to go into C tier, it's going to be the very bottom of it. They're finding their footing here. They're lucky that Iron Man was so good that people are just like, we're in no matter what. So I'm going to put Iron Man 2 at a C tier. But it could fall. It could fall by the end. Then we get to Thor. I do like Thor. The best thing of Thor is Loki. And there's not enough Loki in this. They realize that, I think, pretty quickly, because Loki gets featured pretty heavily from now on anytime he's in a Marvel movie. Getting his own series coming up here real quick starting on the 9th. They have to set up a lot more in this movie than they've had to in any of the other movies so far, because they're establishing like a fantasy world, whereas everything else has just been set on Earth. Chris Hemsworth has bleached eyebrows in this movie, which I know really shouldn't bother me at all, but for whatever reason I find it to be very distracting, especially because it's not a choice that they decided to stay with at all, and so his face just looks different in this than it does in any of the other ones. And I'm not a big fan of Jane Foster either, so I'm really hoping that Natalie Portman gets maybe some more to do or something in the next one. But I'm going to put it, we're going to go B. Here we go. We're just going to get it lined up from the beginning. Then we come to Captain America, the First Avenger, starring Chris Evans. This is going to be an A tier. I want to put it in S tier, but I know that that's not true. I know that there are enough movies that I like more than this one that need to be up there. And so this one's going to sit at A tier. You got Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. It's a shame that like he hasn't ever come back. Even when, spoilers, I guess, he does come back. The character comes back. It's not played by him. But this movie does a ton at setting like the groundwork for the character of Steve Rogers and making it so you care about him and you see where he's coming from, and just super relatable, which is something that is difficult with a character like him, somebody who is always trying to choose to do the right thing. It's easy to not identify with that, but they succeeded, I think, making him something to like aspire to work towards. I want to be like that. We are going to now get our first S tier, though, with the Avengers. I mean, they really just hit all the points that they needed to as they were going along. They recast the Hulk wonderfully with Mark Ruffalo. Everybody gets their moments to shine. You get the whole, 45-minute battle at the end of the thing, which holds up today as, really fun action. The plot's not over-complicated. There's not too much going on. And again, you got a fun villain with Loki. I remember seeing this one in the theaters and hearing how much everybody laughed when he gets smashed around by the Hulk. And that moment still plays. My kids watch that scene and they still think it's funny. And so for that reason, not just that reason, but for that reason, because it has a funny scene in it, I'm going to put it in S tier. And now we come to one that is not a popular opinion that I have, in that I think Iron Man 3 is the best Iron Man movie, and oh goodness, do I want to put it above the first Avenger even? It's weird. I like the twists in it. You got a bunch of armor stuff, but you also get a bunch of just Tony being Tony. Shane Black's feel and everything in it really, it carries through a lot of fun. It's Christmassy, right? And you can always use another non-traditional Christmas movie. So let's put it there. Oh, yeah, let's put it right there. Let's put it A tier above the first Captain America. Then we're going to get to Thor the Dark World, the worst Thor movie, and I believe the last, I might even be, I think it's my least favorite out of all of, it's above the Hulk. Because they at least do some kind of fun, do they? Yeah, because at least they're doing some different stuff. You get returning characters as opposed to a bunch of characters in the Incredible Hulk that just never show up again outside of a secondary character. And so, yeah, it's going to go there. I don't want to focus on the negative too much, but for me, that's where it belongs. If Thor the Dark World is an A or above on your tier list, I want to hear from you. Change my mind on it. I really want you to. I want to hear why you like it so much. Not as a challenge or anything. I just want to hear the pros for it. So please let me know. We move from one of the, in my opinion, worst to one of the best. Again, I think this is going to have to go in S tier. I don't think I don't want to. I'm trying to be cautious with things, because here's the thing. I could just put everything in S tier. It would be the most boring tier list. I really am too easy on most movies. And I hear that from people, specifically Tim, is you're putting all of them too high. In fact, if my buddy Tim was rating this, he would just say knock everything down one level and that's good. And he'd put one movie in S tier. That's how he would do it. I like to shower praise on things. And so, yeah, unless it's the Incredible Hulk. But I'm going to put it in A tier because it does a lot for the character of Black Widow. It does a ton for Captain America. You get the Winter Soldier coming back in. Bucky Barnes, who has become one of my favorite MCU characters, especially after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You get just a lot of emotion in this movie, along with just, a lot of action that is fun to watch. I think that's where it's going to go. Guys, it doesn't feel right. I'm going to move it. Does that feel better? That feels better. I feel relieved. Now, this one, without question, though, is S tier. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. It's probably my favorite. It's probably my favorite just Marvel movie. Like, I'm just going to sit down and watch one Marvel movie. It's probably number one for me. I remember when the trailer came out for this movie, and I thought, there's never been a movie made more just for me. And it stood to be true when it came out. I love just about everything about this movie. I don't need to get into it too much. I'm sure on the channel I'll talk about it some more at some point. But Guardians of the Galaxy is S tier. Finally, some more middling movies. Age of Ultron, I do think it's ragged on a little too much. I like Ultron as a character. James Spader does a great job with it. It's too bad the different things that we've heard, about Joss Whedon and everything. But we also get the introduction of the Vision in this one, along with the Maximoff twins, only one of which sticks around. I'm going to go C tier with it because I need to know that this B tier is a step above. But I do like Age of Ultron, and there are times where I will want to watch it, where it will come into my mind, and I'll think, I should watch that one because it's fun to see them as a team just kind of going on an adventure that later on has like big ramifications and consequences that they have to deal with. And so that's why C tier for that one. Ant-Man is a hard one for me to rate because Ant-Man as a character, played by Paul Rudd specifically, is like one of my favorites. The more I watch him, the more I like him. And it's probably a lot of it just has to do with Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd. Just undeniable charisma, and the comedic timing in this movie I think is good. Michael Pena is super funny. Just the whole supporting cast is great. Michael Douglas, Evangeline Lilly gets to come in as the Wasp later on. I'm gonna put this B tier. Yeah, I'm going B tier. High B tier for Ant-Man. It doesn't hurt to put it there. So that's where he's going to live. Then we get to Captain America 3 Civil War, or really it's like Avengers 2.5. I remember when this movie was coming out, and it came out right around the same time as Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And the fact that this movie is so much better than that movie and made so much more money is just crazy, and shows the mishandling of those characters that WB has done. I don't blame Zack Snyder as much as I would have at the time now, but Warner Brothers needs to get their stuff together, and hopefully they are. But this really just shakes up everything. Pretty much every relationship that you can imagine, they mess it up here. Not a lot of like personal consequences in that, like, nobody is dead. I'm trying to think. At the end of this movie, that wasn't dead before, right? No, I think it's everybody's alive. You get a cool introduction of a villain with Zemo, who again is okay in this movie, but he becomes better in like the shows that he's featured in later. Some fun twists and turns. Introduction of Black Panther in this one with Chadwick Boseman, who is great, and he's got his coolest costume in this movie too. I'm going to put Civil War at a high B. That's probably low for a lot of people, but it's just not one that I like to watch that much. Doctor Strange is next up, and definitely not a D, definitely not a C. It's going to land in this area here. It is the same movie as Iron Man pretty much, but if you're going to copy an origin story, it's the one to pick. I like Doctor Strange as a character. I like his side stuff. I like his supporting cast. It's all good. Just like with Thor, they're having to introduce like a whole world. It's not just, again, in our reality. I'm going to feel comfortable putting Doctor Strange at an A. I really like how they beat the bad guy at the end. I like that it's not just, punching him. He has to get creative, and he shows that he's a smart character by the way he defeats Dormammu. Plus, he's got the cape. In any movie that essentially has the flying carpet from Aladdin in it as a character, it gets a thumbs up from me. Now we come to our next S tier, again for me. I know for some people this movie is not their cup of tea. I'm going to think with my head a little bit and not put it above Guardians 1, but know for a fact Guardians 2 makes me feel more feelings than any of the other MCU movies, including like Infinity War and Endgame. The fact that they could take Michael Rooker and the way he was in the first movie and turn him into who he is in this movie, and we can get what we get from him in this movie, is incredible. And James Gunn being able to come back and finish up Volume 3 is very exciting. His firing and then rehiring from Disney, man, that would have not been a movie I was looking forward to at all, Guardians 3. But now I get Guardians 3 and the Suicide Squad, so I guess we win on that one. I forgot to mention back in Civil War, because everybody's getting introduced in Civil War, Spider-Man gets showed up. Wow, that was good talking. Spider-Man shows up in that one too. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man a lot. I appreciate that he's younger. It's something that we hadn't actually seen much of as Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire was not young when he was being Spider-Man, and neither is Andrew Garfield. So, Tom Holland at this point isn't really young either, but at least he looks young. And so that... Oh, plus it's got Michael Keaton in it? Yeah. And he doesn't die? So he gets to come back later? Yeah. Where do we put this movie, you guys? I don't have enough C tier movies. I'm going to put this above. Do I dare? Yes, I dare. A tier. This is going to be a top heavy list. I can see it already. It's going to fall over. Oh, look, now I'm doing it on purpose. It's going to look like Avengers Tower. I promise. Okay, we move on to Thor Ragnarok, my favorite of the Thor movies easily. So you at least are going to go here. Taika Waititi does so much fun stuff in this movie. I love Korg. Again, I love the way that they have to defeat the villain, not just by, punching until she's dead. Which, I guess, to be fair, doesn't happen a ton in these movies. It's just a common complaint that you hear, and then maybe sometimes you think it's true. I'm looking at the movies now and be like, when do they ever punch the person? It's more like you punch the person until the magic thing happens, is usually what happens in the movie. And that does happen in this one. I'm going to go more than that, more than that, more than that, more than that, more than that. Ooh. Yes, it's going to top. A tier. Black Panther has a great cast, and it's the main reason that I'm not super worried about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, because it does have such a great cast and a great director heading it up. It's just a real shame that Chadwick Boseman had to die, and he was sick the whole time he was making these movies essentially too. Man, but he just gave it his all, and from all accounts was just a real cool dude. Great villain, Killmonger, and you get your boy Andy Serkis in there as well as Claw. They do a ton with Wakanda as well, and really making it feel like a place that people could live. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna go top of B tier. This is probably the placement that's going to get me in the most trouble, I think, because this movie did so well at the box office and is so loved, and especially with Chadwick Boseman being gone now, it's just, it feels like I'm going actively going against the movie to put it in B tier. But I am still highly recommending it, and I think people should watch it if you haven't. That goes for like all of these movies, really. Maybe for Thor 2 and for Incredible Hulk, you just read the Wikipedia. But yeah, that's where Black Panther is going to live out. Right there. B for Black Panther. Maybe that's what I do. Whenever I'm in doubt, can I put the movie in the same category that its title starts with? Avengers Infinity War. Man, this movie makes me miss the movie theater more than anything. I'm so glad that we're getting back out there. Hopefully with some reviews coming soon on the channel as well. Infinity War is going to be an S tier for me. I like it right here, right below the Guardians movies. It is fun to watch one of these movies where the main character is the bad guy, with Thanos being the person who is pursuing the goal, and you're following him, and you're almost rooting for him to be able to do it, mostly because it's not going to be the end. Like, it's not like real life where the bad guy kills people and then everybody is dead. It's like, oh, well, we'll figure it out. And guess what? They figured it out. Just some great combos of characters with Doctor Strange and Tony Stark teaming up, and Captain America and the Black Panther getting to lead everybody in the fight here on Earth. And the Guardians finally getting to meet up with everybody from Earth as well. Just not a lot of complaints when it comes to that. The only thing that would make me want to maybe knock it down a little bit is like, you do have to have seen everything. But here's the thing. I like that about it. That's one of the things I like about it. You shouldn't go watch Infinity War if you haven't seen everything. And I don't think that every movie has to be a movie that you just can go watch by itself. It's good when a movie can be that, but if a movie instead wants to say, I want to build on what's come before, that's cool. That's not something that we really have had to this degree in a film before. The fact that they pulled this and Endgame off is just like a movie miracle. Like, it shouldn't have happened. How little the amount of backlash there was for things that happened in them, like big things, not like memes and little jokes and complaints people have, it's incredible. The fact that they are just so well received. I wonder if it will hold up. I wonder if 20 years from now people will still think that Infinity War and Endgame are good. I guess we'll have to see. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm going to put right below the first Ant-Man. I think that they are very similar in a lot of ways. It isn't as tight of a story, and the villain isn't as good, and the goal isn't as clear. And so, I think I like the first Ant-Man more than I like the second one, and so that's going to put it right there. Captain Marvel, another movie that made a ton of money, but for me, it's not one of my favorites. I don't blame Brie Larson, though. I know people like to rag on her online quite a bit. And then there's people who like to get mad at the people who rag on her. I don't blame her. It's, again, a hard character to do because it's essentially like doing like a Superman, where what do you do when somebody's so strong? At least in this movie, like, she's figuring out being strong. I'm going to put it in C tier. Top of C tier, though. Mainly because, like, I just have not chosen to go back and watch it. Every movie above this one, I have made the choice. I'm going to go and I'm going to watch this again. I don't think I've made that choice with Captain Marvel outside of, required viewings, which makes me wonder why I'm putting it above Age of Ultron. I'm going to not. I'm going to put Age of Ultron above it. Captain Marvel right there. I'm going to put Endgame, though, up here. I know that this is probably not the way, again, a lot of people like to do this one, but I like Endgame more than Infinity War. I like the payoff more. I like how weird of a movie it is. The fact that there's just a big section in it where they just travel throughout time and you essentially get the greatest hits of the entire MCU. I like that. I like it very much. I'm happy with the way characters ended up. I know that the way they handled Thor's depression and everything in this movie is something that some people have trouble with. I didn't. I thought it hit the right funny notes. I think he comes across as very sad and very depressed in like a relatable way. But I can definitely understand people thinking maybe they're not taking it seriously as they would have wanted them to. I really just love this movie. Again, it's hard to talk too much about these movies just to gush about them, so I'm not going to. I'll probably, again, talk about Endgame at some point because, again, the fact that they were able to completely finish up this whole thing with that and have it work, yeah, it's because they've got Kevin Feige. And then lastly, we're going to get Spider-Man Far From Home. It is a good movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is very entertaining in this movie as Mysterio. The different dimensions of him that you get to see. Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Also, who'd have thought that they'd be bringing that guy back? But yet, there he is. I can understand people's complaints about it being a little too Iron Man heavy, even though he doesn't show up in the movie. But again, it doesn't bother me. You get to see Spider-Man in a different environment than you've ever seen him before, not being in New York. Where does he go? Where do you go? I think I'm going to put it right below. Why is this one giving me the most trouble out of all of them? It doesn't matter. I'm going to put it above. No, it's definitely better than those two. I'm going to put that there. And there it is. That is my Marvel movie ranking. Again, let me know what you think below. Give me your ranking. Tell me mine is wrong. Doesn't help me learn anything. Explain. Come on. Let me hear it. Next week, we're going to be continuing Blockbuster Month by talking about the Mockbuster, specifically the movies of the Asylum. And so if you don't know what that means, hey, come back and find out. If you do, maybe you're excited about it. Or maybe you're like, I better not watch next week. Either way, it'll be all right. Thanks for watching this video. Please make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button down below. And you can even hit that bell so you can get notifications and ignore them, like I ignore my YouTube notifications. I appreciate the support that everybody shows the channel, even if it's just by watching the video. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Saturday.